Hello, Conrad and Lucy and Caleb. Papa is here, and I've got Spider Man on one side of me. I've got the Invisible Girl on the other side of me. My office is just full of superheroes. And why not? We've got a story that's full of superheroes and a great supervillain. So let's go ahead and get started. Yes, this is the story about Fantastic Four on a search for the Submariner. And this issue has a special guest star, the sensational Doctor Strange, the master of the mystic arts. And look, Submariner is there and he's capturing Sue Storm. And the other Fantastic Four are about to attack him. So that's what's happening in the story, but we're not ready for that yet. Let's go ahead and start with the story inside Reed Richards' laboratory. And he's got on a contraption on his head that projects his thoughts. And what do you think? He's thinking of Susan Storm, and why not? She's very pretty, isn't she? All right, the narrator says, never let it be said that the Merry Marvel Group is willing to rest on its laurels. After bringing you the breathtaking Hulk versus the Thing battle in the previous issues, do you remember that story? Papa told that to you when I was visiting with you. What a great story that was with the Fantastic Four and the Hulk and the Avengers. All right. But this story is an equally sensational story. All right, and so Reed Richards is projecting his thought images. Susan Storm sees it. She says, "Oh, for goodness sake, that's me." The Torch says, "Reed's thought projector really works. We can see what he's thinking of." Thing says, "Well, what do you know?" So his brain ain't just a mess of text tubes and six-syllable words. Torch says, "Say, Reed, that looks like fun. How about letting me try it out?" "It's not a toy, Johnny," says Reed. "I'm trying to develop this device as an aid to crime fighting." And Sue says, "Well, Mr. Richards, I would appreciate it if you wouldn't expose your thoughts of me for everyone to gape at." Thing says, "How about letting lovable me try that gizmo, pal? Just for the interest of science, naturally." Well, Reed gives in. He says, "All right, Ben, I know you won't be happy till you've had your turn. Now just relax." Thing says, "Relax? Who can relax inside of a nutty contraption like this? It looks like something Doctor Doom might have dreamed up after eating too many stale pizzas." Well, sure enough, he thought of Doctor Doom, and look what his thoughts are projecting. He says, "Holy suffering sassafras, what's going on here?" Reed says, "I should have warned you, Ben. Don't think of any menaces like Doctor Doom. The projector will magnify their realism and shock you." And sure enough, the Thing imagines Doctor Doom tossing a bomb at him. And so he pushes back and he tries to get out. He says, "I got to get out of here. That pineapple he tossed is going to hit me." Reed says, "No, Ben, stay put. You're only imagining it. Ben, don't fall back. You'll smash the helmet." Okay, Susan says, "Quick, Reed, stretch your body into a pillow shape to cushion his fall." And sure enough, that's what Mr. Fantastic does. He stretches into a big pillow and catches the Thing. Reed says, "Benjamin, why don't you take up a hobby? Something that'll keep you out of here while I'm working." Thing says, "You and your nutty inventions, you probably rigged the whole thing up to mortify sensitive me." Sue says, "Well, if you boys don't mind, I'm leaving. No girl wants to have her thoughts revealed. Thing says, so go ahead, be a party poop. Reed says, but Sue, I didn't intend to use it on you. Thing says, the trouble with you, Reed, is you just don't understand females. That chick is nuts about you, but she ain't gonna wait forever for you to pop the question. Reed says, she won't have to, Benjamin. I'm planning a little surprise for her. In fact, I had planned to go out and shop for a ring later today. Torch says, huh, some surprise. She's been waiting for it for the past 2 years. But a surprise is just around the corner, not only for Sue, but for the entire fabulous foursome. For at that very moment, many fathoms beneath the swirling sea, in a huge underwater castle, a regal figure silently broods. We can see his thoughts from here. He's thinking, I cannot endure this loneliness much longer. A prince must have a bride to share his throne. And of course we know who that is. It's Prince Namor, the Submariner. He says, my people have fled from me. Only a few faithful warriors remain. And yet, if I could have the surface girl I love at my side, nothing else would matter. For with Sue Storm as my princess, I would find my people, restore the glory of my undersea empire, and make the reign of Prince Namor the most glorious in the history of Atlantis. Okay. And then he says, though I vowed not to do so, I can resist no longer. I must again behold her lovely features. I must see her once more. And so he adjusts a dial on an amazing invention. And sure enough, the eye opens up and he can see projected an image of Sue Storm reading a book. He says, there she is, revealed to me by the power of my undersea scanner. Now I know she must be mine. Moments later, he speaks. Hear my decision, warriors of Atlantis. I plan to go to Earth's surface and return with Sue Storm as my intended bride. But his subjects say, no, sire, you must not. The surface people are our enemies. It is unthinkable. But the Submariner's will is like iron. He orders his last remaining subjects from his throne room in a fit of rage. And then they leave, swimming away. One of them says, he left us no choice. We must desert him. We cannot be loyal to a monarch who would betray his royal heritage. And so the mighty Namor is alone once again. He sits on his throne and says, they did what they felt they had to do, and now I can do no less. I must follow my heart, no matter what price I have to pay. And so, not long afterwards, back in the Baxter Building, we see the Thing, and look at him, he's exercising with this giant spring. But he hears someone. He says, is that you, Reed? Why didn't you use your key like you always do? And then he hears a voice that says, because my air-powered electron gun serves me better, you thick-skinned oaf. Well, who is it who's speaking to the Thing that way? The Thing says, hey, that ain't Reed's voice. It sounds like yow. And just at that time, Prince Namor reveals himself by punching the spring in two. And he says, it is I, Prince Namor. Now put away your bodybuilding toy. No matter how you train, you can never hope to equal my great strength. The Thing falls backward. He says, you fish-faced pinhead, do you know what this forged steel stretch spring cost? I'm going to take you apart for that. But look at what Submariner does. He says, sorry thing, I have neither the time nor the interest to waste on you. This sleep gas pellet will shut a mouth even as big as yours. And so he shoots, and it's a pellet full of sleeping gas. Just at that moment, the torch comes through the door. He says, hey, what's going on? Holy smoke, it's the Submariner. Submariner says, the torch, good. I might as well put you out of action too. And so even though the torch is throwing fireballs at Submariner, Submariner still says his body contains enough inner moisture to render your mild fireballs harmless to me. And before you can hurl any stronger ones, my vacuum pellet will deflame you with ease. And so look, his gun not only shoots sleep gas pellets, but also a vacuum pellet. The pellet goes off and sucks away all the air. And Submariner says, for as you know, flame cannot burn in a vacuum, for you see, I was prepared for each of you. Sue then shows up. She says, Namor, are you mad? What have you done? If you have injured Johnny. Namor says, Susan, at last, do not concern yourself, my beloved. I have injured no one. My only objective has been to find you. Johnny says, I'm okay, sis, except I won't be able to flame on for a while, but I don't like the way that crumb is looking at you. Namor says, be silent, Torch. Only the fact that you are the brother of the one I love has kept me from making you pay the price for your insufferable insolence. And then Namor turns his attention to Sue. He says, within seconds, he too shall lose consciousness. Then when your brother and the thing awaken, it will be too late to stop us. Sue says, to stop us? What do you mean, Namor? Namor says, you know how I feel about you, Susan. For you, I have given up my birthright. I have lost an empire, and yet it will be worth it if... She says, no, don't say it, Namor. You mustn't. You haven't the right. Have you forgotten about Reed Richards? He says, how can I forget the one who has ever stood between us? But he shall stand between us no longer. Sue says, you're mad if you think I'd let you harm him, or if you think you can. You must forget me, Namor. You must leave before Reed finds you. Namor says, never. I shall not leave without you. Richards has had years to court you, to make you love him. All I ask is 24 hours, and I shall have them. And so again, he pours out his sleep gas, and that overcomes Sue. She says, sleep gas. Namor, you fool, you... Oh. So she passes out. Namor says, my personal two-seater air-sea speedster will have us back in my castle before anyone knows what has happened. So he steps out of the window and he steps into this vehicle that can fly and can go underwater. And so he flies away. He says, if she does not confess that she loves me, if she does not agree to become my bride within 24 hours, I shall return her safely. But she must marry me. She must, or else I have sacrificed everything in vain. So he flies away. A short time later, after Ben and Johnny have recovered consciousness, they're sitting at the table, and Reed comes in, and look, he's got a package in his hand. I bet it's an engagement ring. He says, Johnny boy, call your gorgeous sister. I've got a little present for her. And he says, say, what's with you two? What's wrong? Then Reed says, there's no time for long faces. You'll soon be hearing wedding bells. Look at the ring I bought for Sue. And look, there it is. How pretty it is. Johnny says, Reed, listen to me. I don't know how to tell you this, but Sue isn't here. Reed says, okay, so she's out shopping. When did she say she'll be back? Wait a minute, there is something wrong. Speak up. What is it? Thing says, it's our fault, Reed. We were asleep at the switch. Johnny says, it was the Submariner. He was here. He took Sue away with him. Reed becomes angry and frightened. He says, Submariner took Sue, my Sue. He dared to come here, dared to take the girl I love, and you let him do it? You let him do it? And so he explodes in his rage and he stretches out, trying to find Submariner and to find Sue. He says, I've got to find them. I'll make him pay for this. Do you hear me? He'll pay with his life. And so the Thing holds on, and so does Johnny. Thing says, hold it, Reed. You can't tackle him alone, not in the sea, right in his home grounds. Johnny says, Ben, he won't listen. I can't hold him. He blew his stack. Well, I should say so. And they can't hold him down. Johnny says, look, Reed, we feel as bad as you do. Remember, she's my sister, but we've got to work as a team. That's what you always said. Ben says, clam up, kid. Talking won't help. He's too mad. He doesn't hear a word you're yapping. But Ben keeps yapping too. He says, come on, big man, simmer down. You know how a quiet gent like me hates to see a guy lose his temper. Like my old Aunt Petunia used to say, it's shamefully undignified. But they still can't hold him. They're grabbing hold of his arms that he's stretching out of their control. Ben says, flame off, Johnny. If my muscles can't stop him, your flame won't do any good. Anyway, he's simmering down now. Reed says, let me go, Ben. I know what I'm doing. Let go. Do you hear? Then he says, now listen, I'll say this once and only once. I'm going after Namor by myself. I want you two to keep out of this. Namor is mine. He's stolen the one thing I love most in the world. Nothing will save him now. Torch says, but Reed, you never talked like this before. Thing says, clam up, kid. The boss man says, butt out. So we butt out. Without another word, Mr. Fantastic turns on his heel, walks away, and activates his famous radar sweep ray, the only device in existence which can cover the surface of the entire planet like a fine-tooth comb. He says, it's only a matter of time till I find him, and when I do, no power in the universe will keep me from him. The Torch says, boy, if any of those wise guys who claim that Reed does the thinking while we do the fighting could see him now. Thing says, I don't like it, kid. If he tackles Namor without us, anything can happen. We've got to find a way to reach the Submariner first. But we haven't any of that hocus pocus stuff of Reed's to help us find him. If only there was somebody. Hey, where are you going? Torch says, you gave me an idea, big buddy, when you mentioned hocus pocus. What does hocus pocus remind you of? Reminds me of magic. And magic reminds me of the master of the mystic arts. Johnny says, I know the one person who might be able to find Namor, the one man who knows hocus pocus. Wait for me, Ben. And so he flies out the window. Ben says, wait for you? What did you think I'd do? Flap my graceful little flippers and go floating after you? So Thing says, I don't have any choice but to wait. Seconds later, a dramatic message written in letters of fire appears in the sky over Metropolitan. Johnny writes out in his flame, Dr. Strange, urgent, contact Human Torch. Then he says, now all I've got to do is hope there really is such a guy and that he sees my message. Well, yes, there is such a guy, and we we know he is because we've read the story about Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, right? Okay, and so we know that nothing escapes the notice of the master of the mystic arts as he silently broods in his Greenwich Village sanctuary, also in New York. He sees and he says, "A summon from the Human Torch. Such a person would not call upon me unless the need was great. For many months I have observed the accomplishments of the famous Fantastic Four. They fight for mankind in their way as I do in mine. If I can help them, I must not fail. I shall leave my physical body behind and travel to the torch in my ectoplasmic form. For while I am thus in my spirit form, no barrier of time or space can stop me. And now, by the powers of Vishanti, let me fly to my goal." So he flies through the air with the greatest of ease, and he sees a helicopter. The helicopter is leaving their skyscraper headquarters. Can it have some bearing on my mission? Well, yes, because that's most likely Mr. Fantastic flying off in his helicopter to go chase after Submariner and Sue. Doctor Strange says, "Let my enchanted amulet cast its glow upon that plane and bathe it in an all-revealing light." And sure enough, in all the world there is only one amulet such as that worn by Doctor Strange, given to him by the ancient master of sorcerers in Tibet. It is his main source of mystical power, and he sees the one known as Mr. Fantastic piloting the craft. "But it was not he who summoned me. I must continue my flight until I find the youthful Human Torch." And in the Baxter Building, the Thing is saying, "I told you it was a waste of time, kid. There ain't really anyone called Doctor Strange. Hey, what's that? Well, looky there." Johnny says, "I knew it. It's him. He got my message." And here he comes through the wall. He says, "I am Doctor Strange." Thing says, "Look, I don't know how you got in here, but we have a job for you. What's your price, buddy?" Doctor Strange says, "My services are not for sale." Johnny says, "Ben, let me do the talking before you blow the whole bit." Then he says, "We've got to find the Submariner before Reed Richards does. It's a matter of life and death. Can you locate him?" Doctor Strange says, "I have means of finding persons at my disposal, but my powers may be used only to combat evil. What has the Prince of the Sea done?" Johnny says, "He's captured my sister, and he'll try to kill Reed if we don't stop him." Thing says, "Look, Cornball, if it's convincing you want, I'll just..." And he tries to grab Doctor Strange, but he says, "Hey, what am I talking to, a ghost?" Because he reaches right through Doctor Strange's ectoplasmic form. Thing says, "I don't get it. How can you reach out to something and touch nothing? Maybe I'm losing my grip, or is it my marbles?" Johnny says to Doctor Strange, "Don't mind Ben. He doesn't..." "Wait, where are you going?" Doctor Strange says, "There is no need for further talk. I understand the situation. With the help of the mystic arts, I shall find those whom you seek." And so he flies away through the window, and he seeks through the sea. Seconds later, needing neither food, light, nor air in his ectoplasmic form, Doctor Strange searches the ocean's depth, and his amulet guides him. He says, "With the aid of my amulet's beam, I can observe the memory images of passing fish. At last, there is one who has seen the Submariner's castle. Now my amulet will lead me to it." And so he walks along in his ectoplasmic form, with his amulet guiding him. He thinks this is a far cry from battling the sinister, mysterious menaces of the world of black magic, and yet I have sworn to help mankind in any way I can. And he finds a magnificent, ornate castle. He says it's many fathoms beneath the surface, built by a race older than men. This surely must be the palace of Namor, the Submariner. Within the walls of the undersea citadel, we find Sue Storm captured in a clear dome. She says, Namor, let me out. Do you think you can make me confess I love you by imprisoning me? He says, no, I don't want to make you a captive. Why can't you understand? I've never had a chance to plead my cause with you, never had a chance to date you, to be with you the way Reed Richards has. All I ask is 24 hours to tell you how I love you, to ask you to be mine. Sue turns her back on him. She says, but Reed will find you, and when he does, nothing can save you. Namor continues, so, still you torment me. Am I never to know? Is it Reed Richards, or is it me you love? Is it his safety you are concerned about, or is it mine? Doctor Strange sees what transpires, and he thinks, I have found those I seek, but now in my ectoplasmic form, there is no more I can do. I must return to the surface. But just as the master of the mystic arts leaves, he sees it is Mr. Fantastic, but how does he breathe underwater? And so, as he's thinking, Mr. Fantastic lets us know. He says, the special pill I swallowed will enable me to do without oxygen for 1 full hour. That should be all the time I need. So Doctor Strange thinks his genius must be even greater than men think, but I have no time to lose. I must reach the Human Torch and the Thing in time for them to come to the aid of Reed Richards. Doctor Strange continues, for as brilliant as Mr. Fantastic is, the ocean's depths are ruled by Prince Namor. No single power can overcome that of the Submariner's power when he is beneath the sea. And so we see Doctor Strange in his ectoplasmic form rushing back to find the Thing and the Human Torch to aid them in finding Mr. Fantastic and the Submariner and Sue before it's too late. But that is a story that we'll have to wait for until our next time together. Okay? So I'll leave you with in the middle of this great story with the promise that I'll be back to finish it before too long. Okay? Love y'all. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.